What is up, people? Welcome back to Trucker Logic. And the trans shit is ramped up a little bit more now. I have to say, I am getting a little bit tired of talking about this trans shit, but they just keep ramping it up, so I've got to keep talking about it because it's going crazier and crazier. And before all my European viewers or whatever tune out of this, this involves you as well. I'll get to that in a minute. But in America, the governor of New Mexico, some insane woke bitch, just signed a bill into law that will allow underage children to get what they call gender-affirming care, which is basically genital mutilation for children, without the knowledge of their parents or the consent of their parents. So that means that an underage child who wants to change their sex will get hormone therapy or puberty blockers, and in some cases even access to surgeries without their parents knowing about it. Now, right off the bat, I think that the doctors that are going to do this, that are going to engage in this sick, twisted shit, have to consider that they are in direct violation of the Nuremberg Code, just like, of course, all the experts were and all the politicians were during COVID, because the Nuremberg Code requires that before any citizen undergoes any experimental medical procedure, that they do so with informed consent, which means that they have to know the negative side effects of the whatever treatment they're getting. They have to be in a position to give informed consent, and a child cannot give consent. So that's the first part. So doctors doing this can expect that when they're no longer protected by these insane, ridiculous criminal governors and politicians that are backing this shit, that they're going to be in very, very big danger of going to prison, definitely losing their medical licenses. So any doctor in New Mexico that engages in child sex change operations without the parents knowing about it should be very, very careful and very aware that they're on thin ice, because if the leadership changes and somebody from a sane mindset gets in there, those doctors can expect to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and spend probably the rest of their lives in prison. So before the doctors jump on this bandwagon, I have a word of caution to you. Be very careful. And don't be just very careful of the law only. Be very careful of parents and fathers that find puberty blockers in their kids' stuff at home, or in worst case scenario, if the child who is a boy suddenly comes home with a cut off dick and says he's a girl, then I'm telling you, if I had any kids, and I'm glad I don't, but if I did, and my kid came home with a cut off dick or puberty blockers, well, that would be for whatever doctor, whatever school counselor, whoever participated in orchestrating that scenario is going to be in a world of trouble. I mean, a real world of trouble. I don't know, have you guys ever seen the movie Seven? And if you did, do you remember the part where Brad Pitt's in that field going, "What's in the box?" Well, it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that, people. If I had a kid and some doctor mutilated my kid without my consent, or gave them pharmaceutical drugs to block their puberty without my consent, then I would drive to that doctor's office, saw off his fucking head, put it in a little box, and send it to the governor. So that's not just me. I can guarantee you there are other parents out there that that have the potential to get extremely violent if something like this happens. So even though it might be a law in New Mexico and the doctors are legally protected at this moment, remember, it's just temporary. At some point, the law will catch up to you. And if you're a doctor engaging in this sick, sadistic child mutilation behavior, then you should be start getting private security, and better make sure it's good security. And yeah, also, as I said, when leadership changes and somebody with a real brain, a normal brain, and not a sick, twisted, evil fuck like this governor of New Mexico gets in, then they can be expecting not so cushy life in prison. So that's just a word of the wise. Now, where this comes in Europe is, again, I say it in a lot of videos, whatever starts in America, even the most insane shit, actually almost all the insane shit, eventually comes to Europe. And look, in Germany, we're already seeing it with the gendering, the pronouns, the Selbstbestimmungsgesetz, which means that people can change their sex once a year legally, which is really important shit. I mean, we don't have any other problems in Germany except for the possibility for people to change their sex willy-nilly one time a year on paper. That is probably the most important thing this government has ever gotten done. So yes, it's a direct violation of the Nuremberg Code, and we are going to see things like this in Europe, in Germany. And if we don't want to see stuff like this, then it would behoove you people to start speaking out loudly against this shit. If you have kids that are at school and they're coming home talking about this insane trans ideology, be a real parent, grow a pair of balls, don't be scared of your children, and set them straight. Being trans is not a thing. You cannot change your sex. You cannot change your sex. Even if you're a boy that wants to be a girl and they cut off your dick and make you look like, kind of like a Muppet version of a girl, then you are still not a girl. You are still not a woman. You are just a man with no dick. That's all you are. That's it. That's it. So tell your kids that, people. Tell your kids that if they're being infected by this trans insanity at school, because that is now the popular thing to be. As I said, when I was a kid, we had the emo kids, and it was popular to be an emo kid, or it was popular to be one of the jocks, or it was popular to be one of the rock people, or the rockers, or the heavy metal people, or it was popular to be with the bullies. But right now, it's popular to be trans, and kids seem to think that they get extra points for being trans. And there are, of course, sick-ass adults that like to get virtue signaling points from having a trans kid, so they go along with this shit. But let me tell you, you need to put a stop to this now while you can. Be a parent, be an adult. You know what I'm saying? We're living in an age where we are scared of children, and the adults are scared of the children, and we are afraid to set these kids straight. And it is up to you as a parent to set these fucking kids straight. So if they come home talking about being trans, or you can be a girl if you're a boy, or my teacher said that was possible, that's the starting signs of it. We're already seeing it here in Germany. There was already the first family-friendly drag show, I think at a mall in Frankfurt. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Frankfurt, about a month ago. So that's the starting point of it, and it's just going to get worse. And if you don't want to end up like America, especially New Mexico or California, then you need to start, as citizens, nipping this shit in the bud right now. Because otherwise, there's going to be laws here that allow your child, without your knowledge, to go get sex changes, and that's crazy. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, that'll never happen here. That'll never happen here. Well, I would just like to remind you people of COVID, you know what I'm saying? Not only of COVID, but just think of the Nazi times. I'm sure most German people, most of the Jews didn't think it would ever happen, that they wouldn't go that far, and then they did, and it was too late to do anything about it. And the same thing happened with COVID. Everybody thought, well, we're not going to be like China. We're not going to lock people in their houses. We're not going to force people to take shots against their will. And all that happened anyway. So if you don't think that child sex change surgery is coming to Europe, then you better pay attention to what's happened in the past and start working against this right now. And you better start with your own kids. That's my advice, people, because the world has gone insane, and we all know it. And I'm going to end my video today, as I'm going to try to end every video, with this quote from my buddy Paul, in America. Politicians are not leaders. Stop calling them leaders. They are mere servants that are getting overpaid to do a very shitty job at this moment. So stop calling politicians leaders. They're not leaders. The ones we have right now in most of the West are total shit. They're totally, totally shit, and we all know it. So don't give them undue respect by calling them leaders, people. And stop the trans insanity.